right, Raveesh. So today we are going to discuss about web de-anonymization, why it is important. There's a lot of buzz around the market. And apparently you have tried that, played around with some of the solutions. So want to get some of your insights. First question would be that what is web de-anonymization and who is this for?
So there are a lot of IP lookup tables available on the internet. There are these vendors who have information stored of people with their IP addresses. And this is something new. This is something I got awareness about very recently. And how do they collect this information? Again, that's questionable. There's a lot of riff in the industry about it, whether that's legal or illegal. It's definitely a third party data if you are using that vendor. So, with the whole crackdown on privacy from various angles, Google is doing that, and we are entering into a cookie-less world is what everybody's talking about in the market, right? So all of these tools are under question of how they're getting data and whether we should be using that or not. But yeah, so I wouldn't be getting into that of how this data is obtained or how people have this data. All I know is there is this data that exists and there are vendors who are selling this data.
But
What
as
is
a
the
demand
data?
gen manager, how does it help me? Because my budget is limited,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So how does it help you? Like there are various ways you could use this data, right? So now imagine you are as a demand gen manager, you are doing a lot of activities to generate demand, to bring people onto your website, to engage with your content and so on and so forth, right? But you don't know who are these people, like who is coming onto your website. And then once you know that, there are various things you could do to eventually convert them, or various things you could do to optimize your marketing strategy of, and then target audiences or bring in audiences that are more relevant to you. So this is good to have data to understand who is on the website, and there are various use cases that could generate out of it to help either yourself and improve your marketing or improve sales from this kind of data. So I'll delve deeper into that. So how this works is somebody came on your website, and then this IP is looked up into a database. One famous tool that helps you do that is Clearbit, which recently got acquired by HubSpot. So there's certainly value in this, HubSpot acquiring such a tool. Yeah. So they would have information on what this IP represents. Some of the things that they are able to share, like Clearbit Reveal, check it out. Some of this information they are able to share is which company does this person belongs to, what is the title, what is the location. All of this information is very good if you can make use of it. Now, how to make use of it? So let's say you are in a sales cycle with a very big company, let's say Apple. You're in a sales cycle with Apple, and then you discover that somebody from Apple was reading a case study on your website, right? They got onto your website, they're reading a case study. That is a signal, that is a good signal for your sales team to kind of know, okay, yes, we are in a deal cycle with Apple. They are engaging with us. They are engaging with our content. They're looking at our case study. So you can maybe follow up in your next email. You can share more of your case studies, or that gives you a signal of what they are interested in. Maybe they are looking for more social proof or more understanding the value of your product via your case study. So you could use that information to communicate in your next communication back with Apple that, hey, these are some of our other case studies that help you understand the value of our product, so on and so forth. So this is like one use case where it's a signal for the sales to take action on with the help of this data. Another use case is like, let's say you discover X, Y, and Z company, people from X, Y, and Z company landed on your website, the ads that you were running on LinkedIn. So that kind of helps you. Although LinkedIn already gives you some data of who are the impressions going to, what company are the impressions going to, but still, like, now that you know even more specifically what they're doing on the website, maybe that helps you fine tune your experiments. Maybe that you can use that to double down on the experiment that you're running on your LinkedIn ads, or maybe another use case, a third one that I've seen some people do is cold outbound. Like, you got notified that somebody from Apple is checking out your website. They were there for 3 minutes, they read X, Y, and Z different kind of pages, or maybe some high intent pages like a pricing page or a case study or some other high intent page that is there on your website. So maybe now that you know, okay, somebody from Apple who lives in San Francisco checked out your website and some key intent, high intent pages, you could do a cold outbound email to them. Are you open to chatting? Are you open to learning more?
And what sort of tool should I use? Like, should I look into as a demand gen manager? I want to implement this, and assume I have a lean team. I don't have like a huge engineering team to implement. So, what sort of tool should I look into?
Oh yes, yeah, it would be difficult to implement a cookie solution by yourself, and then the buying a IP lookup database. They're pretty expensive. So there are a lot of vendors out there who already have access to this data, and then give that to you with a UI where you can query and kind of see what's going on. A couple of them that I have tried or I'm aware of are Clearbit Reveal, which I already talked about. There's that. Then there's Koela, which essentially uses Clearbit. So if you sign up on Koela, they create a free account for Clearbit, and that has like 10,000 lookups free for a month.
So it's
Then there's
koila.com.
Factors. No, it's getkoela.com.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. GetQuella is interesting. I like one of the most interesting products I saw in the space. It's created by people who used to work at Segment. So Segment is a CDP, and it's a very similar space. So yeah, their UI and the interfaces reminds me of Segment. It's very sleek. Anyway, coming back to the kinds of tools, there's retention.com's R B2B, which is limited to they share data on people who are in the US. So people from US who visited your website, you could get information on them. Like they even share LinkedIn URL of the person who visited.
Yeah, I think retention is the
Uh,
only one which actually tells you the person who visited. I think this is very interesting. Rest of
yes,
the folks are
yes.
at a account level, but I think retention literally tells you. I don't know how much of this is legal or so, but yeah, they can literally tell you that he's the person. Like it's not like Apple, which has like so many employees. Literally know who in Apple actually visited,
That's
which
the
would
difference.
be very interesting.
That's a major difference. And then you have to go to other tools and LinkedIn and search and kind of zero into a couple of people who
Correct.
fit that criteria. But with our B2B, they give you the LinkedIn URL of the person who is on your site. So yeah, that's very starking difference between the two tools. But yeah, coming back to some other tools, then there's Warmly. I believe they use Clearbit as well. And there are a couple of more tools coming out in the market who, use this data and then try to help with your GTM motions. I'll digress a little bit over here and because I'm reminded of something. There was another tool. This is created by ex Ramp folks. So what they're doing is now they're combining all this together to help with outbound. So now think about it like this: somebody is on your website, and then you take certain actions on top of this data, which we already talked about. They're trying to combine it all in place, so you don't, it runs automatically. So what they'll do is they'll combine G2 intent data. Like if you have a paid G2 profile, they will you can use their APIs to know like who is checking out your pages, comparing you with your competitors, and if that IP kind of matches with somebody who's also checking out your website, that's even a higher intent. Like
I
they
entered,
checked
right?
out
You
your
can
website.
layer
Now
these
now
signals.
they're yeah, you can load up these signals. They're looking at your website, they're looking at your high intent pages. Now they're looking at G2 reviews that you have, the competitors. This kind of a person is kind of lower down the funnel in purchasing the product, and
Absolutely,
that's
yeah.
yeah. So some tools I'm forgetting the name, but there's some tools in the market who combine all of this data, like ads that somebody has seen on LinkedIn, G2 intent data, then your website intent data, and then you can automate the process of sending an outbound email as well. Like they will find out the email of this person, the profile of this person, and you can set up drip sequences to reach out to the people who fit this criteria.
So
So
help me
there's that.
understand if I have a problem where I'm targeting execs and none of the execs come and fill up forms in my website. Okay. But they are actually looking into very important parts of my websites and I can literally figure out if they are high intent or not. So now execs don't fill up forms. They don't even talk to chatbots. Okay. And they don't download white paper. So can this help me to crack these cases where I want to know who actually is visiting. That could be a use case, right?
Yeah, I believe it can. I mean, I personally haven't cracked it, but at least having the information of, a VP of engineering at some big company that is a dream
Correct.
customer of mine or could be a dream customer. Now that I know that, I can double down on it in some or the other way, or maybe, at least I would know how did they come in, you know, and having that information, I could double down on my marketing channels. Like if they came in from, let's say, Google ad, I know, okay, Google ad is bringing such execs onto my website. I want more of this. So I will double down my Google ads budget. So yes, it can be helpful.
In some cases.
The results are under question. Yes, yeah, but the results are in question. And talking about results, I also want to call out one thing. This is something I vaguely remember. Don't quote me on this, but I remember the numbers. Reading on Factors AI is another tool that uses it. So they were calling it out. What is the accuracy? Like, it's a lookup
Yeah,
table,
that was
right?
my next question. What is
Yeah,
accuracy? Like, can I trust this data?
to certain extent. Unfortunately, you know, it's not very high. Like it's not like 90% accurate. You're stacking things
You
up.
took demo of
Uh,
of some of the folks. Did they say something in the range? Like,
Yeah, 64% is like what I heard. It could be different right now. But yeah, imagine you being able to de-anonymize or you being able to know 64 out of 100 people who are on your website. Would that be helpful? I would say yes, because
yes,
previously it was zero. I don't know
correct, correct, correct.
who
Yeah,
is coming onto my
100%.
website. Yeah.
But I guess they are very accurate
But
in
then
US geography, mostly. And then obviously rest of the geographies, the IP mapping, I don't know how much of that.
IP mapping is certainly like, especially with the whole motion around working from home.
Correct, correct. Yeah.
And I want to call this out. Like a couple of these tools, when I'm using Office, like when I use Wi-Fi at a WeWork, these DNON tools would call me out a certain company that might be at WeWork, but it's not my company, like the company that I'm working at, right? And then even at home, I have a different Wi-Fi in different rooms. Or if I'm using mobile data, the companies they kind of de-anonymize myself to are it's
Different. Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
hilarious.
True, true, true.
I
So
sometimes
take it
enjoy
with a pinch of
watching.
salt.
I mean, a pinch is very less. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, because and it changes every day. It's not like okay, they are like it's something I can blacklist or whitelist. That okay, if somebody from Bangalore, this IP is being shown as let's say rippling, it's incorrect. It's not consistent. Today it's rippling, tomorrow it's gofindme.com, and day after tomorrow it's something else like Apple. So it's very inconsistent as well, and which is strange. So that's why I think the reliability of technology is not 100% or not even like 80. It's certainly like there's some sort of reliability out there, more than 50-ish, but it's hard to
But still,
comment
it's
on
but
what
still
exactly
it's
that
better than shooting in the dark, which is like 0% uh, revelation. I'm literally shooting in
I
the
mean,
dark, right?
yeah, it's better than shooting in the dark, but you got to layer up. I would say don't get excited when you see a VP of engineering at Apple is checking out your case study.
Yeah, true, true, true.
Unless, you know, there is data to back that up. Like, let's say you emailed them yesterday and today they're checking out. Then, of course,
Yes, makes
there are
sense.
dots to connect to be able to rely on such a data.
Part of your ABM
Uh,
strategy, they are also being shown LinkedIn ad and in their MG2 and plus they have seen pricing page. You have far more confidence that, okay, this could be like, this could be a serious signal than just a random signal, which
yeah,
is like engineering head of Apple visited your pricing page.
yeah. I would say that yeah, layer your data points to be able to rely on this. Just one source is not enough. So yeah, there is a lot of questionability. There's yeah around this de-anonymization tools
Yeah. And
that
this
are
is
going on.
coming from you're literally experimenting with this technology for the last couple of months. Like you've tried out a few things, tinkered around things, and this was like your takeaway, right?
Yep, that
All
that's
right.
been my takeaway so far.
Cool. Last question. Do you think it is more suited for folks who are targeting enterprise or somebody, if I'm a demand gen manager who's targeting, I'm targeting, say, the mid-market or SMB. Do you think should I invest in this sort of technology? Or if I only have ABM or something, I should be investing in this sort of technology?
It's hard to tell actually. Like in our case, we do a lot of ABM, so that's how it helps us. But
So you are running
for
a SaaS
SMBs,
demand gen scenario, right? Okay.
yes, that's correct.
And you're
But
targeting enterprise mostly.
yep, yeah.
Okay.
So that's how, like, it's good to know who is interacting
Correct.
with our website when we are doing ABMs. But for others, like, I mean, again, to your point, like you mentioned, shooting in the dark versus knowing who the shots are going to. So it could be helpful for SMBs as well. Yeah. The favorite answer of market is it depends.
Yeah,
My
but I
answer is
believe if you are targeting enterprise, you should absolutely have it, because again, the number of accounts are small, and each signal is very, very precious than if you are targeting an SMB where you are like targeting 5,000 companies, you are doing a cold email, and maybe 300 people are checking out your website. Okay, now that can be a different scenario, but for ABM, it makes more sense, is what I understand.
yeah, I would agree with you. And like, I think the reason behind it would be like, let's say a big company like Apple, you know, has hundreds of employees, thousands of employees at a location. So having their IP stored reliably as Apple would be there would be higher chances of that versus a 10-person company, you know, who is remotely distributed, sometime working from a cafe, sometime from
Correct,
a
correct,
co-working
correct.
space, or sometime from home, you know. So their IP having stored as a particular company name in an IP lookup database would be less reliable, or chances of that would be less, I believe.
Cool. All right, good stuff. I think we covered a lot on the Diano side. At least these are the things that you have really experimented, and not what is there in the pitch deck. So this always reveals real insights, and hopefully that's useful. So this is the pod for today, and see you guys soon.